Okay, now we're going into the hospital. I'm your nurse for today, and I'll be the one to take your details, and then would ask the doctor. It's Ask the Doctor, and the phone lines will be open pretty soon. You can call in and ask the doctor anything that bothers on your health. We'll be dealing with lots of issues, from sickle cell to diabetes to waist pain and all the things that happens to your body. So today's another chance for you to call in and ask the doctor. But right now, though, let's be grateful to the Bank Hospital for supporting the morning show. The Bank Hospital is at Cantonment near Nafti, and you want to call them, book an appointment, and get your health checked out. You can call the Bank Hospital on 030-273 9373 030-273-9373. They have lots of clinic, urology clinics, sickle cell clinic, all the beautiful clinics that would help you, know what's up with your health. And for those who love food, good food, healthy food, there's one thing that you need in your food that is thick, it's red, it's rich, and that's Gino tomato mix. You need it because of vitamin A, D3, fiber, and zinc, treating your family to tasty and delicious meals. And you know that Gino truly cares. This is vetted and approved by the FDA. You want to get a Gino, you want to enjoy healthy food. And also, see, now that we're in the consulting room, this makes a lot of sense. Have you drunk water today? Are you planning on drinking water? Because the doctors have told us that we need a certain amount of water every day. So we introduce you to Aqua Clear mineral water. That's what will keep you hydrated and looped up for the day. You can call Aqua Clear mineral water 020-1732-880 or 055-9488-707. And Aqua Clear mineral water is at Action Chapel International, Spintex Road. You want to drink purity and feel satisfied. And in studio, we have Dr. Wisdom Ifeong from the Bank Hospital. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, PBL. Why is that when I'm gathering momentum for me?
I know, right? Like, why do you have to wait? Like, good morning.
I have to emphasize on the thing.
I know. You good?
Very well, like,
yeah.
And you?
I'm okay. Yeah. Aside the fact that you look a bit stressed about it, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's
very
fine. Yeah, it comes with a job. Don't
I
worry.
know.
How many people do you attend to in a day?
Sometimes I don't count.
Right?
Yeah, I really don't. It depends on what part of the hospital I'm functioning at.
Okay.
The outpatients, it's a lot
crazy.
more people.
Right.
Inpatients, a few people, but spend more time with one person. So yeah, it's quite stressful.
Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Wisdom works with the Bank Hospital. You want to go there, probably book an appointment and see him. I'm telling everybody now to come and see him. Well, today is Ask the Doctor. So the phone lines are activated. You can call and then ask the doctor any and everything that bothers on your health. But Doc, the president spoke about banning all these takeaway packs because of the health and sanitation issues that might come with it. And then somebody also mentioned edible rubber. I don't know. Is there anything like that? I wanted to find out if there's anything like edible rubber or something that is good for food that we can keep food in, or I don't know. Yeah. Why would we want to ban these things? I mean, aside the sanitation part, what are the health implications that we might be looking at when it comes to such things?
Well, some people tend to use some of these polyethylene bags, some people sell foods with them, so wache, cocoa.
Oh, don't mention wache. Don't do that.
And all that. And you realize that most of the time, when people buy these foods, instead of getting home, removing it and putting it on the plates, to microwave, if they want to eat it, microwave, then you realize they put just with it directly, into the microwave, and that causes a lot of chemical reactions.
Okay.
Not be good for the body.
So the rubber itself is not bad, but it's when you put it in the microwave?
So it is not bad if it has no relation to your body. Sometimes you can just use it in carrying stuff.
Okay.
It has no relation to your internal body. By the moment you start using it in carrying exposed food stuff, not like raw materials that you're going to transform into food, but the food finished
Itself,
product.
yeah.
So that's where it becomes harmful because, you have no idea, the chemical reaction that's going on and how it can affect you long term.
Okay.
It might not necessarily be immediately, but it's something that you keep doing over and over and over again. It tends to affect you long term, right?
Wow.
And aside that, the sanitation bit is also very key because you walk on the streets of Accra and you see there are a lot of these, rubbers on the roadside and all that. In other countries, actually, they don't do that. Actually, there's a ban on that. So you have to use either a paper bag, or a more sophisticated bag where when you buy things and you go home, you have to come back with it the next time.
Right.
Otherwise, you will buy food stuff and you find yourself, stuffing it up in your pockets and things. Like one of my colleagues, my colleagues, so she forgot. She was somewhere around the world and then she forgot, the paper bag
yeah.
she bought stuff with earlier. So the next time she was just, buying, I think some biscuits or so. And she realized, she forgot it and she was not having a backpack. So she had to stuff it in her pocket, So
interesting.
Yeah.
So food in cooked food, right? So what you're out there, you're buying your regulars, right? And then they put it in rubber. So the doctor is advising that when you get home, you pour all that into a plate before you warm it. For some of us, we just put it into the microwave, put it on, and then we're going on with our jolly and good lives. Now, it's not good for your health, right? So you want to pour it. So would you advise the ahaban? So in some countries, I don't know how they call it, but if you buy street food and all of that, they put it in this leaves, right? Is it good?
In some countries.
Yeah. In some countries, not only in this. I think I've watched some documentaries, some food tourism where somewhere even in Kenya, like just street food, just put it in some small, really nice. Here in Ghana, we serve wache in those ones, right?
Of course, if it's clean, why not? Because the problem here is recycling. It's a leaf. It's something that it's like every other leaf where people could use to cook. So I don't think it should be harmful.
Yeah, as compared to.
But the issue with that is that most of them tend not to clean it.
That's the other part of it.
They've heaped a lot of it and they've brought it overnight. And the next morning, they realize that there's one particular cloth or towel that they used to just clean the surface and then you dish for everybody. Then you clean the surface, So that also, there are contributory factors around, not necessarily the fact that using that particular leaf, but the things that we don't see even harm us more than the things that we see, Yeah, the things that you don't see, you think that, for instance, your phone, people who, especially healthcare workers who work with their phones, you tend to have a lot of microorganisms on your phone. So if you were to take a swab of your phone and look under the microscope, the things you will see, you have no idea. But we wash our hands every day and you hold your phone, it's mobile.
We go back to it again.
And you go and pounce on some fufu.
Right.
So we have to be very cautious of that we always, the things that we don't see, are very harmful as well.
Okay, so the doctor is talking about the things that we don't see, things that you need a microscope, right, to see all these things. So you want to be careful. You want to be careful the leaves that the wachisela is putting your food in. You also want to be careful not to warm your food in the poly bag or the polythene that they put the food in. You want to pour it into a bowl and all of that. And I'm also thinking of water, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a time that something was circulating. It was just water. How you're able to tell if this water is good enough for drinking. Also because you might not be able to see it.
Yeah.
And does it mean that the moment the water is clear or is white, it's good for drinking?
Exactly. So what I'm trying to say is that because we can't see it, you can't ascertain. So you have to trust that, it's going through purification before you can drink it. So the fact that if you actually if you take rainwater, and then you put it down for a while for the sediments to come down and all that, you realize that it will be colorless. Because
Right.
water is supposed to be colorless,
Yeah.
right? Not necessarily white, but colorless, right? So the fact that it's colorless does not mean that it is good for you to drink, because you've not checked the other particles. Water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Can you see the hydrogen and oxygen?
No.
But you trust that that's what you are drinking.
Right.
The same way you can't see those elements, the same way there could be other elements and particles, involved that you can't see that might be harmful, to you. So we have to actually go through the processing phase to ensure that, that is done. So that's why
Okay.
people tend to drink bottled water, because the companies have advertised that they've been able to treat it
Yeah, like
well,
aqua clear mineral water.
for it to
Yeah.
become good for
Okay.
drinking and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that makes a lot of sense. So water that is colorless or white in our eyes doesn't necessarily make it good for drinking.
Yeah.
You want to be sure that it is gone through a level of purification.
Yeah.
So that somebody sent me a question. Let me read it real quick. It says that anytime I eat salad from vendors outside,
Okay.
I get food poisoning. I get food poisoning. Could it be the salad or the environment? Yep, that's it.
Okay. Well, so addressing issues relating to food poisoning. So you could, eat from. It could be from various sources to start with, right? It could be from you going to eat over there.
Me?
Yes.
What could be wrong with me?
Exactly. So I'll hit on that shortly. So it could be from you, depending on what you're going to eat. If you're going to eat something you use your hands to eat, your hands could be contaminated even prior to going to the food vendor. That's one. It could be from the way they prepared the food. It could be from the way they stored the food. Some foods are not stored under the right temperatures, because you have to eat hot foods hot, So it could be from the preparation of the food. It could be from the storage of the food. It could be from the movement of the food or the serving of the food, by the people who move it from the kitchen down to the finished products, right? So it could be from various sources, right? But you realize that for you to know that this is from the food that you have eaten, there are questions you want to ask. One, are you the only one who ate that food? Right?
Okay.
If you had the food with 2, 3, 4 more people, now the next question is, what symptom are you experiencing? Typically people don't want to have diarrhea, some people have tummy pain, vomiting and all that. Now, if you establish that you're having symptoms, you didn't eat the food alone. Now, the next question is, those people you ate the food with, are they experiencing the same symptoms?
Same thing, right?
You understand? So the moment you are able to identify that they are experiencing the same symptoms right after eating the same food, then we can now attribute it to the food.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Right.
And then that alone in itself might exclude the U factor being, contaminated before going to the vendor, right? Now, because 7 or 10 other, maybe let's say it's a wedding, right? And 300 people had it. Out of the 300 people, 200 of them are having diarrhea, obviously.
It's the
It's
food.
something from the food. So now we want to check, is it exactly from the storage of the food, the preparation of the food, or, the handling of the food? So that's something that people would have to go into. That's why when there's an outbreak of certain conditions or certain, food poisoning, they want to close down that particular food vendor. Not forever, but just so they investigate and find out where is this from. Otherwise, you keep, to be like a continuing effect where you keep passing it on and on. So you have to shut down and then investigate to find out where did we get this from. It could be from maybe one person, and that person is the one cooking the food. So you see, it could be from the storage of the food. It could be from the handling of the food and all that. So there are so many. It could be from the environment where the food is being prepared.
Right.
So there are so many factors that could, lead one to having food poisoning. But as for the treatment of it, once you go to the hospital, you'll be sorted out.
You would have to go to the hospital. What are some of the first aids you can administer?
Yeah, so like I said, some of the symptoms you might have is tummy pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. which means that you are losing fluids. You want to
Right.
replenish that fluid, before you come to the hospital. So,
More
but you realize
water.
that you tend not to want to drink, but that again is what we need you to do, before coming. Because if you come to the hospital and we see that you're not able to drink, we have to give you some IV infusions.
Okay.
Fluid through your veins, because that one, it bypasses you drinking in your stomach and all that. Otherwise, you vomit them again. But if you are able to drink at home, try as much as possible to rehydrate before coming to the hospital. Because it's the dehydration that will tip you into having other problems like acute kidney problems, kidney shutting down because it's not getting enough water and all
Yeah.
that. You feeling dehydrated, producing lactic acid. So many other things could go wrong, right? So you want to try and rehydrate before coming. And then the pain itself will bring you to the hospital. So.
I know, like, let's not stress it. Just be in pain, you show up. I see. Well, there's another one. It says, what are the most common health mistakes people make without realizing? Wow.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, without realizing, the first thing that comes to mind is not going for a regular checkup. Yeah, because you feel like you're fine. You're good.
Look,
There's no point.
here in Africa, but healthcare is expensive. You agree, right? So, there's no, I don't even know, like to go to the hospital and just go and check. Hey, how much is your salary? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, so that's the
these are
thinking.
excuses of people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if I earn maybe probably 4 figures or 6 figures, I'm thinking, how much do I have to spend? And I mean, you go to the hospital, there's no telling what the doctor will just, cough up some very wild disease with a very beautiful name. Then they say
Yeah.
you have to go to the lab, I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
So why would we want to go to the hospital? Why must we even go and check it out? That's the excuse of people.
Yeah. And the answer is it is more expensive to treat the disease
Right.
than to prevent the disease.
I see.
So if you think about it that way, people think things are expensive until they have to, I was buying certain things, I was trying to buy certain things for myself, and I was like, nah, I won't buy this. And my colleague was like, if something happens, unforeseen circumstance, God forbid, happens right now, this money say you will not use to buy, you will use this for it. So
That's
people
very
can actually use money for something else and neglect themselves, when it comes to their health.
Right.
And without realizing that it's more expensive to treat, let's say, God forbid, you don't do your regular checkup, your kidneys are declining, and you don't catch that early to revive them. Now, by the time you start having symptoms, now you go to the hospital, they say, oh, you have to be on dialysis. It is more expensive, to be on dialysis for life.
Right. Right.
Whilst awaiting a kidney transplant, than preventing that particular disease. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
And some people tend to ignore subtle symptoms. You have subtle symptoms, you ignore it.
Like
Oh, it's one of
headache?
those things, You
Okay.
ignore it. The fact that you are ignoring it, you don't know what it's pointing out to. Perhaps if you had gotten checked, could have picked that up and dealt with it, then preventing
But we have
it
cases where, okay, let's say somebody has headache, just
Yeah.
regular headache.
Yeah.
And then the person goes to the hospital, so, oh, your head is aching. How old are you? All that. Then the right para, you should take it to the house. How do you present something like that so that you don't get to just go through the try and error? Is there a special way to present headache to a doctor that would, okay, probably let's run this check, let's do this, let's do this? Because sometimes I'm thinking how the patient presents it
Yeah.
also has a way of informing you
Yeah.
what you give.
Yeah, so again, the eye sees what the mind knows, right? So there are protocols to these things. Rarely will a qualified medical doctor just say, oh, you just headache, para, go home. There are processes you have to go through. There are red flags you have to look out for. You have to go back to the history. Perhaps if it's the first time headache, and then we look at the characteristics of the headache and then the grading, the severity of it, it's not that, below 5 or something, and other risk factors depending on the patient, You might inform me, say, okay, let's watch and see. But there are protocols to these things. Rarely would you just go in and say, oh, pee more. And then it's not every headache that warrants setting, highfalutin scans, a CT scan, exposing you to radiations. If it's indicated, like I said, there are protocols to it. So you have to go through those protocols to know that, okay, this person is indicated for a CT scan
Right.
or an MRI or, this particular. So you have to take the history of the headache. Headaches is a non-specific symptom that could present due to so many things called headache. Stress could cause a headache. So if a doctor makes that diagnosis and he will tell you to rest, and then you would think doctor did not do anything for me, but based on his history and examination, they thought rest is what you need. Headaches, brain tumors could cause headaches, especially in the mornings. When you wake up.
Right.
So brain tumors could cause headaches. An aneurysm, a rupture for, let's say, someone take a patient who has hypertension. I said it's a silent killer for a reason, because it has no symptom, right? And now you've had hypertension for 10, 20, 30 years, you don't get it checked. You've not gone for your routine checkup for us to check your blood pressure. And then all of a sudden you have this sudden thunderclap headache that is described as the worst headache of your life. We'll be looking at a bleed in your head. And that's the first thing that comes to everybody's mind.
Wow, that's big.
So there are so many other things that could cause headache. It's quite non-specific, and then headache is not equal to para. Now, what you said that would happen in the hospital is rather what happens at home. Because people have headaches, they just take para and move on. And you realize that this headache is recurrent. You keep having it, you keep taking para and moving on. It should tell you that you should go to the hospital and get checked, right? The fact that you're having headache and para is solving it, like I always say, you are clearing the cobwebs. There is a spider in that room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to deal with the spider, then your headaches will be, Some women tend to have what we call migraines. People have migraines, and they have an aura, which means that you sense that you are about to have that headache before it happens. Yeah, so you have an aura. Some people sense, they're able to sense that I'm about to have it, then it happens. That's, typical of a migraine, right? Some people also have what we call a menstrual migraine.
Okay.
A headache that is around your menstrual cycle. So these are questions that we have to ask to rule out and rule in before we make a decision as to what to manage with.
Okay. I see. Well, there's a question from Gina from Kaswa. I used to get some ball-like yellowish particles whenever I bring out phlegms, mostly in the morning, ball-like yellowish particles. Right? No pain, no irritation. Please, what could be the cause? Ball-like, so it's round, yellowish particles.
So, I'm thinking, when you describe it as ball-like, does she mean that it's a solid particle? Or it's a liquid particle that you have? Yeah, that.
Okay.
Do you get it?
I'm thinking if it's coming out, it says it comes out mostly in the phlegms.
Yeah,
I'm
phlegms
thinking,
in the morning.
what are those things that get stuck up in the
So I'm thinking, the question I would like to ask her, is she coughing? How does she produce these particles or these phlegms?
Okay.
Or is it intentional? Like when she wakes up, then she wants to bring it out.
Okay.
Or she coughs.
Okay.
Because when we think of coughing and sputum or phlegm production, we're thinking of a chest infection.
Right.
Okay. And there could be so many other things that could cause a chest infection.
Okay.
And there could be so many things that, depending on the color, yellowish, people produce yellowish, people produce brownish sputum.
Okay.
Or phlegms, people produce black.
Does the color of the phlegm also determine what could be going wrong in
color,
there?
Yes, the color. So typically a yellow or brownish could typically give us an idea that maybe you're having a bacterial infection, and the investigation would follow suit as well.
It says it's solid, no coughing. She's replying to the message, actually.
Yeah, so it's difficult to tell how producing a solid,
it's solid,
every morning
so
you wake up.
Like is yellowish particles.
Yeah, so I think it's something that we need to see. For someone like this, you have to see the person, yes, and ensure that everything else is okay. Her breathing is fine. Like when you're telling me a ball, like I'm thinking, is this something that can obstruct your windpipe.
Okay.
This is something that can obstruct it because, there's a very fine, delineation between your windpipe and your esophagus.
Okay.
When you think you're swallowing something and it enters your windpipe, you could choke on it. So is it something that has the potential of causing her to choke? And so there are so many questions we have to ask her when we see her in person, because I also have to see what ball-like structure you producing.
You're talking about.
Exactly.
I see. Well, there's, okay, I think today we're dealing more messages, right? It's a subtle. So we have one from Gospel Njoku, Nigeria. It says that concerning the banning of plastic foods or nylon bags, the ideas or moves I support. But my concern or worries is that the agencies appointed to see that the policy is maintained are not doing their work to get the culprits arrested and sanctions. Well, here in my country, is talking about Nigeria, we have such policies as government agencies like the NAFDAC, National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration Control, is not doing enough. My question is, is there any other thing the government can do or has not, that they haven't done, in order to ban completely get it out? Because we agree that it might not be healthy for us, but here in Africa we use these in large quantities.
Yeah.
Go to the riverside, go to seaside. It's as though they've collected rubbish in the sea, something that's supposed to be clean and neat, right? So he's rather asking, I think this should rather go to FDA.
FDA,
right? The authorities, that's but I'll get that answer for you.
Yeah.
What else you think that the government can do? That will be an answer from Ghana, but you can also replicate it in Nigeria, and I'm sure it will work. Thank you so much for this message. Gospel Njoku from Nigeria. Now, there's another one. It says, secondly, are there any non-serious diseases or sicknesses caused or from using microwaves before eating such foods like cancer? Please let us know. Also from Gospel. Gospel, I like you. How you day? You get us to be. Thank you, my brother. Caro. Yes, so he's asking, what are some of the other, dangerous things that come from warming food in microwaves?
Yeah, so he answered himself by saying like cancer. Right, because cancer happens when there's an overgrowth of a particular cell in the body, uncontrolled growth, right? And that could happen if, there's always a suppression of growth in the body, right? Now, if that suppression is lifted up or is not present, right, now that growth is no longer controlled.
Okay.
Right. Now, there could be so many other things that could cause that natural suppression to be lifted up. And that is in the genetic coding of the individual, right? So when the coding is not right, and there's so many other things that could affect the coding, that's why sometimes smoking, could cause lung cancer.
Right.
Because it goes deep down into the molecular level where now you're not just seeing smoking as, in exchange of, some form of smoke, but it goes to the cells and causes mutation in these cells, which would now manifest as cancer, right? So there could be subtle mutation that go on as a result of frequent usage of, because it's a wave. It's a wave. It's just like the sun wave. Prolonged exposure to it to certain individuals could cause skin cancer. It's the same way. It's a wave. Excessive usage of it could, one way or the other, lead to conditions that you do not anticipate, you've not anticipated for, right? So that possibility is definitely there. So that's why we always say that, sometimes try to eat, good food, raw food, cook your food yourself, heat it up yourself, as compared to always morning, you microwave before you go out to work. At work, you're microwaving. You come back home, you're microwaving at night before you sleep, and you've been doing this for 5 years. So these are things that don't just wake up and cause problems. It takes some time, just like how smoking for 2 days will not give you cancer. But being exposed, like the last one was talking about first-hand smoker, second-hand and third-hand smoker, right? So you've been exposed to these for a period of time. You think you are fine, but those mutations are gradually taking place to happen, especially to susceptible individuals, i.e. people who have a history of it before, and then now you're just helping trigger that, to now come to light. So yes, you should be very mindful.
Right. So you want to be very mindful. You want to eat, warm your old food, probably the old way that we used to do it. And then also you want to cook your food always sort of fresh, so that you can just eat it. I don't know how that's going to work for our very busy lives now, that we just cook over the weekend, store it in the fridge, and then the moment somebody wants to eat, you pick and put it in the microwave. So the doctor is advising, yes, you can cook and all of that, but you should have other ways of warming it, not necessarily with the microwave. And that analogy that you gave, that I mean, you warm food in the morning, get to the office, you are warming food, everything you warm it, and then in the evenings you are warming food, and do that routine for about 5 years. That's you dying before death. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so we're talking about the things that people, the health issues that people cause themselves without even know, the most common health mistakes
Yes,
people do.
yes,
So you
yes,
said the
yes.
very first one, people don't go for
Yeah,
checkups.
regular checkups. You don't go for
Right?
regular checkups.
Okay.
Then the second, I mentioned that people ignore subtle symptoms.
Yes,
When you
like
have them.
headaches and all.
Yeah, you self-medicate for over and over again. You're still having it. You're still self-medicating. Another one is stress. Try as much as possible not to be stressed.
Please, who are you talking to? I may even for you. You already look stressed, right? How do we manage stress? Okay, we have Omar on the line. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you're welcome to the consulting group. How may we help you, please?
Please, I want to ask the doctor. When I've been visiting the hospital for a very long time, and the doctor said there is nothing wrong with me, but I feel that there is something wrong with me. Mostly when I go to bed, I don't sleep well. Just some short sleep, and I'll just wake up. So I just want to ask the doctor if there's anything that can be done to that.
I see. So you don't sleep well,
Yeah,
and then when you wake up in the morning, you're tired?
yes, please. So I tried to consult the doctor, and they were like, there's nothing wrong with my system.
Okay. Okay. For how long has this been?
Oh, for about 3 months now.
I see. I see. What do you do, please?
Oh, please, I'm a mason.
You are
A mason.
a mason. Okay. That means you work a lot during the day, and you're expected
Yes,
to
please.
sleep well at night, but you don't. I see.
Yeah.
Doc, any other thing you want me to ask before he goes off?
That's fine.
I think that's fine. All right, so there it is. He's a mason. He sounds like he's in the middle age, 30 thereabout. And then he doesn't, I mean, mason
Did
definitely.
you say he sounds like?
He sounds like it, yes. Yes, and I mean, because I did ask. And I didn't want you to say, did you ask? And then also he said he doesn't sleep, or he's been to the hospital a number of times, and they said there's nothing wrong with his system. What could
Yeah.
be?
Yeah, so we have to fall back on history, history, and I'm thinking that if maybe there are things that will be going through your mind, and sometimes you might not necessarily get a diagnosis on one sitting. You might want to do a few investigations and to come back for review whilst we're in a process of achieving a diagnosis. That's one thing I want him to know. But I don't think they'll just tell him there's nothing wrong with you, go. I'm sure they give him some sort of safety netting, as to if you notice A, B, C, and D, don't hesitate to come back. If you notice A, B, C, let us know. It's still part of, trying to investigate a diagnosis. It's not all diagnosis that you get you sit down in 10 minutes conversation and we have it. You know, most of them we can, but not all of them. It's a process.
Right.
Now, when it comes to tiredness, it's a myriad of things could cause tiredness. Sometimes we refer to it as the A, B, C, D, E, F, O of tiredness.
Z.
You know, so many other things could cause
Right.
tiredness. Anemia could cause tiredness. You know, a low blood level could cause tiredness. You know, a bone condition could cause tiredness. Cancer could cause tiredness. You know, conditions like diabetes, you know, hormonal conditions could cause tiredness. You know, we want to also find out from him, how is his sleep like? He said he wakes up feeling tired.
Tired, right?
How long? When does
And
he
he's
go
unable
to bed?
to sleep, so he doesn't have a full, maybe like long hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So he, like, you know, intermittent sleep.
Yeah, so the specific question to be, when do you go to bed?
Right.
When do you wake up?
Okay.
How long do you think you sleep for? And when you wake up, do you feel refreshed? You know, and then you realize that most of the time is linked to the fact that they are not having a good sleep hygiene. You know,
There's
'cause-
a sleep hygiene.
yes, the sleep hygiene. So if you're not having a good sleep hygiene, you think you're not able to sleep. I mean, I have had patients who say, "Doctor, I need medication to sleep."
Sleep
You know,
hygiene.
yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah, so I'll take you there. Don't worry.
I mean,
You know, so it's not always the fact that you are not able to sleep equal to medication that helps you sleep. The medication that could help you to sleep, but we have to be sure that that is indicated for one. Secondly, we have to use it short term. It's not something you use long term. Otherwise, you become dependent on it, right? So a typical sleep hygiene.
okay.
There's another
So there's another caller. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, your name, please.
I'm Hugo.
Say again.
Hugo.
Okay. So you can talk to the doctor.
No, just anytime I'm feeling low.
I'm struggling to hear you. Can you please reposition yourself? That will help pretty much. Hello.
Can you?
No, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. But I mean, if the calling is going to be an issue, you can just send us a message. We'll be sure to read it. Put it on our Facebook or YouTube, or you can send us a message. We'll just be sure to read it for you, please. Yeah. So back to sleep hygiene.
Yes.
You have to be a certain hygienic condition
Yeah.
to sleep.
So the sleep hygiene are basically the things that you ensure are right for your body to, you know, accept to sleep. You know, so those are things you have to ensure. I'll list them. So we want to see it as, let's start from before you go to bed. You know, you're not supposed to take, you know, exercise, rigorous exercise 2 hours prior to you going to bed. You don't want to do that. You don't want to take caffeine, you know, coffee and caffeine products, you know, prior to you going to bed. It would stimulate you. It's a stimulant. You will not be able to sleep.
Right.
Some people take them and they are not
And
sleeping.
also take these energy drinks.
Exactly. So you don't want to do that prior to you going to bed.
Oh,
You know?
right.
Yes, you want to ensure that you're not using your phone prior to you going to bed.
Okay.
Some people are on their phones for 4, 5, 6 hours in bed, and doctor, I'm not able to sleep. Okay, you are with your phone, you know, and all. Some people have, you know, lights on, and this some ways stimulates their mind to thinking that it's broad daylight, you know.
Right,
So
you
you're not
should be
able to
working.
sleep, right? So you're not supposed to do all. So you have to ensure that you're not doing all these things, right? You have to sleep. You have to go to bed when it's time to sleep, right? Don't be in bed 4 hours prior to sleep in the night time, and now you expect to just fall asleep. Your body's already used to that, you know, environment. So if you are not ready to sleep, don't lie in bed. So these are things we advise you to do before you
Wow.
even consider. So you're not ready to sleep, be in a hall or something. Don't be in bed. Let your bed be used for sleeping. So your mind is like telling a dog that you have to pee only by this table. You see, whenever he pees somewhere else, you whip the dog. And you realize that when he pees by the table, nothing goes wrong. Automatically, every day he'll be peeing by the table. When he feels like peeing, even if he's asleep, he'll wake up and come and pee by the table. So your body is the same thing, conditioning. So you want to condition your body that whenever you see a bed, it tells the body that it's time to sleep. So you don't want to be in bed with your phone for hours and now you think, okay, you think it's time to sleep and you want to fall asleep. You might not be able to fall asleep. So use the bed for sleeping, right?
Wow.
And then some people tend to take warm milk, before going to bed. I mean, that helps. So for those who are not lactose intolerant, that could help to some degree. Warm milk could help you
Hey.
sleep, and also when it's time to go to bed, you want to empty your bladder, 'cause sometimes
Right.
waking up might also prevent you, say you're not able to sleep, but you've drank a lot of water just before sleeping. It's good to hydrate, but not just
not
when you are about to,
sleep.
you have a whole 24 hours in a day to do your, daily maintenance of fluid, right? So you want to do that throughout the day, and then when it's evening time, night time, try to limit that, right? So you do all these things and ensure that when you are in bed, you put all gadgets away, light off, TV off, everything, no distractions, and then you want to just lie down and close your eyes. So these are things that we want to do to ensure that you have a good sleep hygiene. You have to practice them for a while, condition your body. It's when all these have failed. I mean, when you're in a hospital setting, you're on admission, sometimes you could be given certain medication that could, in fact, some side effect of certain medications could even make you drowsy.
Right.
You fall asleep and all that. But it's not routine that we give medications. People tend to do that a lot. I've not been able, I need medicine to sleep. And I just hope that our pharmacists don't discharge medications to people by the roadside because they're not able to sleep. I
Right.
think currently with the trained pharmacists we have in Ghana and Africa, I don't think nobody would do that.
All right.
Because it's not right. You have to ensure that you're having a good sleep hygiene. Most of my patients, when I tell them that, and then they go, "Oh, doctor, I'm now able to sleep." I'm like, you see, you didn't need any medication from the start, so you thought you needed. Some people are very stressed, during the day. They tend to take coffee at night or during the day. Some people are surviving on coffee, and then you realize that you are not able to sleep. Yeah.
Wow, we're going to sleep well from tonight. These are the things that we're going to do. We will not be in bed pressing our phones.
Yeah.
When it's actually not time for us to sleep, if you feel like, okay, you want to tap your phone, do it in the hall or somewhere. Train your body to see the bed and know that, okay, it's about time to sleep. And when you get there, put your phones away. Sleep with lights out or dimmed lights so that it's not so loud for your body to think that, okay, we're supposed to. Some of us, we are so blessed. Whether there's lights, there's no light, there's sound, there's no sound, we are asleep. It's a ministry. If you want me to lay hands on you, you can come for that. And also, don't drink too much water.
Yeah, just
Before you go to bed, so you don't have to disrupt your sleep by waking up. A lot of times, I'm a victim of that. I do that a lot. So you see that I go to pee like 3 times or something before that. And also, don't do vigorous. So if you want to go to the gym, yes, you can go to the gym, but when you get back, have at least an hour to yourself.
About 4 hours.
Or 4 hours to, oh, wow, that's a long time. So have about 4 hours to yourself before you go to bed so that you're not, sleep deprived. Amazing, right? Stuff that we can learn for ourselves today. Thank you so much, Dr. Effiong. Dr. Effiong, you just, I don't know, but today's like a light. The light is turned on. It's turned on, right? So we'll do right from today. This has been Ask the Doctor with Dr. Effiong from the Bank Hospital. Thank you to the Bank Hospital. Thank you to Gino Tomato Mix and also Aqua Clear Mineral Water. You heard the advice about water. You want to get an Aqua Clear Mineral Water that's gone through purification, sanctification. It's left with justification. Yeah, so that's just about it. Well, let's go for a quick break, and then when we get back, we'll get into sports.